Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife, ScrappyWife.com, and today I'm working in my Happy Planner memory book. This is kind of just one that I come to every now and then, and I'm excited to add another page to it today. Today I'm going to add some pictures of my three kiddos and kind of write out a little note to them. So that's the plan. It's going to be relatively simple. I'm going to try to use a bunch of scraps just because I have a ton. So why not dig into your stash and see what you have? Ooh, I super like this. That one might be one I use. So I'm going to do that. I'll link things. This is on my Hip Kit Club scraps, so I'll link the Hip Kit Club down below. And these are some other kind of fabric pieces that I pulled out from the Hip Kit Club, so you can check them out below. Otherwise, I'll put you guys on fast forward. Let's go. All right, so to get started, I'm going to want to mat each of these pictures. And normally in this album, I print pictures in black and white. This time I printed these three pictures in color, and they are of each of my kids doing one of their favorite activities. We are definitely a sports family. If you've been following me for very long, you know that we're a very busy sports family. We are constantly at practices and games and trainings and all kinds of different things. And my three kids all love sports. And I feel like in the time that they've been doing sports, I've witnessed a lot of different kinds of sports parents. And this spread is going to be kind of a letter to them to just speak to them something that I want them to take away. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. But I decided I was going to print these in color, and then I'm going to mat them on black and white. And most of the accents that I'm going to use on this page are going to be black and white. And actually, I end up going with a different page in the book. I'm going to put two pages together. I'm going to take this one and actually use the lined paper on the left because I'm going to be writing a letter. So, and then we'll use this piece on the right, and then I'll attach those two back into the book. So have all my pictures, and we're gonna do just a simple cluster of these photos. They're beautiful, kind of up close photos. It's my daughter at a track meet, one of my sons at his race that he was doing, and then another one of my sons at a gymnastics meet. So I printed these big, knew I was gonna do a collage with them, and matted them each on a different piece of black and white paper. And it's kind of catching them all in action doing a sport that they love. Now, clustered around that, I'm going to want to use these butterflies. These fabric butterflies are so cool. I love them so much. And then I also have these other fabric pieces that had little words and sayings on them. A lot of them are summer related, but I did find a few that I thought would work really well. One says moment captured, one says this moment, and another says made for sunshine. And I thought that was perfect to kind of describe these three photos. I love adding word fetty and any kind of word ephemera, anything like that onto these pages, because I think it just captures something a little bit extra as you're kind of glancing through each page. Now I'm kind of figuring out where I might want some clusters of these butterflies, but I want to add something a little bit more interesting, something textured. So I'm actually going to take them off, run them through my sewing machine, and then bring them back on. And you'll see I have lots of string attaching them, and I want the string to kind of be messy all over the page. I have two groups of butterflies. You're going to see I'm going to kind of mess with where these are all going to live. It'll all end up working out, but because they're all attached and I don't want to detach them, I got to kind of play with where they're going to be on the page and how they're going to fit together. And this is just a fun way. Adding string is a great way to add texture to your projects. I love that these strings kind of entangle all the pictures and just show how they're all related, even though we have like three different events going on this page. And it's a fun theme to kind of continue throughout. I love the messiness that it adds because it just feels very much handmade to me. So once I get them in place kind of where I want them, then I'm coming back with adhesive. When I have excess string that's kind of sticking out too much, then I can kind of gather it up underneath the butterfly so that it is captured in place. So it has to stay in that particular place. So it's a little bit finicky, I would say, as I'm kind of going back and forth trying to figure out where everything should go, but I'm really pleased with the end result because it's not much. Like you're not adding a ton of different ephemera pieces. This is not a ton of bright colors. I wanted the photos to be the main color here. But it is adding texture with the fabric butterflies, texture with the string, interest to the page, and then I'll also bring the butterflies over to the left-hand side of the page as I start to work on that one. So I'm going to get all of these secured into place, and then we'll be ready to take our attention over to the left-hand side. I wanted to capture this thought I was having about my kiddos and them doing all their activities. My kids are amazing, and I've loved watching them learn different sports and different activities, and I've loved watching them kind of thrive. And each of them has experienced success in different ways, and they're all very much focused on that success. And I wanted to take a minute to write them a letter to let them know something that we always try to let them know as they're competing and performing and doing different things, that they are so much more than their accomplishments on the field, on the track, in the gym, that they have so much more to add to the world than just winning different things. And that can be really an important lesson to teach them. You see all kinds of different parents out there that, can get on their kids' case, that can yell and scream at youth sports events. I think we've all probably seen news stories about that, and I've definitely seen it in person. And I'm a very passionate sports parent, don't get me wrong. There's lots of cheering, there's lots of yelling, there's lots of things that go on at the sporting events. But at the end of the day, I always want to reassure my kids that it's more about them as a person than them as an athlete. And I definitely wanted to capture that. It was just something that was kind of on my heart. And this particular album is one that's pretty important to me because there's a lot of letters, a lot of longer journaling styles in this album. And so I thought this one would be a good one to get down on here. So I have those 3 different black and white pieces of paper that I tore to create that fun edge and layered them together. Now we're going to add some butterflies. We'll do the same technique where I'll take them, run them through the sewing machine so that we have all that extra string, and then that adds that extra texture. So pick those up, take them off, run them through the sewing machine, and then I'll bring them back and reattach them onto the page. You can see that this is going to be a really simple layout. Most of the layouts in this particular album are very simple because they are super heavy on the journaling. It's definitely more of a memory album that's about capturing my thoughts on different subjects or different things that are happening, and less about just the pictures. So for the title over here, I have these stencils from Illustrated Faith. I'm going to find the stencils that I can add that say "you are more," and that's just something I want my kids to always remember. Accomplishments are great, success is great, but you're more than that, and you can learn from every aspect of doing an activity, and it doesn't just have to be about success. And it's a lesson that I think we've all learned at different times, and a lesson I want my kids to take away. I love youth sports. I think there's so much to be gained from being part of a team and from learning how to work with others and learning a skill and learning that when you practice a skill, you can get better at it. But I definitely don't want my kids to be tied up in these success and or failure that they might experience there. I think it's much more about the lessons, and I just want them to know they have so much more to add to the world than just their athletic abilities. So I'm going to take time. Now I'm writing the journaling. I'm kind of disguising it some because I'm going to write straight down this whole page. And yes, some of it gets kind of broken up, you might say, within those letters that I've already stenciled. I don't mind that. I don't mind that you have to work a little bit to read this. I think it adds a little bit of intrigue to the page. And again, if this is going to be an album that my children have in the future, it's okay. They can dig into it. I also just want to say, yes, I'm using my own handwriting. I think that using your own handwriting in projects can be really important. I love a typewriter. I love typing things out and printing them out on word processor and putting them in. And I do mix it up from time to time, but I'm not afraid to just include my own handwriting in all of its imperfections, because the more I think about it, the more important the more I want to document my actual handwriting. There's something about writing out by hand. Think of a birthday card that you get that has someone's signature on it. It just, there's something that means a little bit more when it's written out by hand. So I definitely want to include some handwriting in these particular albums. All right, I feel like there's a blank space over in this corner, so I'm actually going to just get some scraps of paper, add a little bit more torn paper on the edges, and we'll layer it in some different ways just to add some interest and fill in that space. I, of course, like very full memory albums. I like my pages to be full. It's just kind of my style, so we're going to make sure we don't have a ton of negative space to work with on this page. And once I get those spaces filled in, then this memory album page or entry is going to be done. Like I said before, I will link all of the supplies I use down below. Most of these are Hip Kit Club leftovers or things I had in my stash, so be sure to check out the Hip Kit Club. Not sponsored, I just love them and I happen to be a subscriber for them, so definitely check them out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I do want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. There's a ton going on over on Patreon. There's a bunch of extra content available. There's Zoom calls, there's downloads, there's some physical things that you can get like stickers and Happy Mail available over there. So make sure to check out Patreon in the description box as well. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.